Yeah, I wish you'd stop it. There's Jordan Spieth on the driving range.
Shot in front of a live audience at Margarita Republic, it's Shots from the Bench. And now your hosts, Bob Wiltman and Bob Murphy.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Shots from the Bench. It's only sports talk, and of course, all opinions are both fabulous and flawed. I'm Bob Wiltman, my associates Bob Murphy and Greg Malinzook's behind the scenes. Our producer, he's taking care of business, running the cameras, and trying to stump us with trivial questions that really we're not going to discuss on the show. It's great to be here. We are here at Margarita Republic, as a matter of fact, in the beautiful Spanish Springs section of the Villages. Margarita Republic, where the food, fellowship, and fun are always seated first. We're here every Sunday from 2 to 3. So if you're in the neighborhood, come in, out, over, around, stop in and up and down, whatever we'd love to see here. We've got some trivia. We have some fun with the gang, and we will look forward to your presence here, or you can get us on YouTube at Shots from the Bench. And of course, we are the only sports talk show in the Villages. And that being said, partner, let's do a wrap up on what I thought was one of the really exceptional championship games I've seen.
Before we get going on that, I realized we did something wrong today. We should have wore our green jackets.
Our green jackets. I don't have a green jacket.
And,
it's the closest I'm ever going to come.
Right, we should have wore our green jackets, but we forgot. Next time.
This
next
is
show.
the best we got. But before we get into the Masters, let's talk a little bit about that, what I thought was an exceptional championship game.
It probably was the best championship game I've ever seen for the pure drama. I mean, it was back and forth throughout the whole game. And
I don't think anybody led by more than 8 or 9, right? I mean, somebody might have gotten to 9 points.
Yeah, but they'd always claw back.
They'd always claw back, always.
Yep. And it was just such drama, especially down the stretch. And then finally, when Marcus Page hit that off-balance, very off-balance three-pointer to tie the game with just a few seconds to go. We thought that was it. That was, wow, what a hero. What a hero he is, right? And it turned out different, didn't it?
Nobody's going to remember him now. I feel bad for him.
Right. And then all of a sudden, North Carolina inbounds, and they go down, and Jenkins hits the three-pointer at the buzzer. Now, that was a set play.
It was a set play, and you know what? And it was a guy that I didn't expect was going to take the shot, and I think that's probably the reason it was a set play. And you know what? I didn't feel that North Carolina didn't defend it. I thought it was decently defended. The guy just made a heck of a nice shot.
I thought for a national championship game that the officiating was terrible, absolutely terrible.
Well,
but it was terrible for both teams.
Well, that's
you got UNC fans. I don't know if you know this, petitioning the NCAA.
Let's replay the game.
Right?
Yeah, let's.
And but for bad biased refs and bad refs or whatever.
Isn't that the American way? If your team loses, there's got to be a reason for it.
There were some really. I mean, I was just astonished at how bad they were. I mean, they were really bad.
There were some. I would agree with you that there were some very, very inept calls, but isn't that the potential every time you go out on the?
It didn't take away from the drama.
No, it did.
And North Carolina couldn't stop that shot. They had an opportunity to try and stop that.
That's right.
And they didn't do it. So hats off to Villanova for a dramatic win. We didn't see that one coming.
I didn't see it coming. Unfortunately, our producer saw it coming. We didn't.
Our producer, we have to give it to our producer. What is
props,
his name again?
I don't know, Greg. Props to him. I thought, of course, I should have told North Carolina the minute I picked them. That was kind of like the kiss of death for them. They weren't going to get it done.
Some of our predictions haven't quite panned out in the last couple of weeks, months. You heard us.
In fact, for baseball, I don't know. I might be going with the Twins this year. I think I'm going to pick the Twins to go all the way.
let's. Yeah, I'm going to pick. Who am I going to pick? Marlins. Yeah. Marlins. I'm a Marlins guy. That way, see, our teams will win that way. So.
But no, it's interesting because you brought up the officiating, and I thought it was there was some really questionable calls. But I didn't think as uneven as it was that made a difference in the
Yeah.
in the outcome of the game, or
Yeah, it
that
was
was just
kind of,
just a lot of head scratchers on both sides,
Yeah,
and
sure.
all you can do is take it at that.
Well, we're on Masters Sunday, final round today for the Masters.
Can I
Kind of an
can I bring
exciting-
one thing up
Oh,
before we
sure.
go to the Masters? And
Yeah,
this
yeah.
it's really trivial, but it
Sure.
really bothers me. Didn't they used to play for third and fourth place in the NCAAs? It seemed to me if you're
Yes,
gonna,
they did.
if you're going to drive, you're going to fly
Yes,
all the
they
way
did.
to Tampa. Why didn't they play for third and fourth? I
Yeah.
guess the other teams didn't want to, or they figured it's
Yeah.
anticlimactic.
You're absolutely right. I remember.
I was just
absolutely
wondering if
remember
I was crazy, but you do remember that.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was a big deal for if you were rooting for a particular team.
I mean,
you
why go-
wanted them-
you-
you at least had something to root for the next day after.
Well, plus you're going all the way down.
After
I
the
mean,
Final Four.
you're making a big. You're making the travel.
Yeah.
So why not play another game for third place?
Sure.
Get a little exposure for your school on TV.
Yep.
Have a two. Well, I just thought it was interesting.
We'll have to look up when they ended that because it was a few years ago.
Okay. See, I didn't know if it had been last year or not.
No,
but,
no, it's been more than that.
No, but I'll tell you what. That was a sidebar. But let's get to the height of the drama right now. It is Masters Sunday, my all-time
Television
favorite.
coverage is just resuming on TV for the Masters here, a little after 2 o'clock Eastern, here at the eastern part of the
How much more drama can you possibly want than the list of guys that are all within 5 or 6 shots of the lead?
Jordan Spieth with a one-shot lead, 3 under.
Which should have been 3. It was 3 or 4 until
His
he.
first 3 days playing
Yeah.
that wind,
Yeah.
to play any kind of golf is really something. To be 3 under at this point, today the wind isn't a factor.
No,
Looks
no.
like it's not going to be that a factor. So actually, Jordan Spieth's in a pretty good position right now.
Yeah, well, he's leading. That's a great position.
Sure.
So
And of course, we like the name of the second guy, Smiley.
Smiley
We're all
Kaufman,
going to smile if he wins, I guess.
24-year-old
Whole
from
family will smile.
Alabama, and I saw him interviewed. I didn't know much
Yeah.
about him. I know he's won
He's
on the
a
tour.
good young golfer.
He's a good young golfer.
49th in the world. He's 24 years old.
But he's like a college kid. He's into texting and video games and stuff like that.
So he's in the hunt for sure. And Hideki Matsuyama, 2 shots back. Bernard Langer. Now that's the story right there. 58 years old, in the number 4 spot, 2 shots back, tied with Matsuyama.
I want him to
Wow.
win, but I just don't want him to collapse. I mean, if he doesn't win, I certainly
Well, he
understand
is
why.
definitely in it.
But I
man.
want him to shoot a good, solid,
He's-
under par round if
he's-
he can. I
he's-
think that would be fantastic.
He's more than double the age of Spieth and Day combined.
It's been 23
10
years
years
since
more.
23 years since he last won the Masters. 23 years.
Right. Yeah, and he's definitely in position and playing well enough to do so. Wouldn't it be cool? I tell you what, I told you off camera, I'd love to see is a playoff with Jordan Spieth
And Langer?
Bernard Langer.
I'd love it. I think that'd be
You
fantastic.
know, right down hole for hole. Wouldn't that be dramatic and so cool to see? Anyway,
But,
maybe I'm dreaming, but
Well,
hey,
you
it's
picked
possible.
you picked Jason Day before, and I'll tell you what, he's been under the radar for the first 3 days. Only 3 strokes back.
3 shots
If
back.
he puts a decent round together, he could. I wouldn't mind seeing him and Spieth, even if longer can't be in it. Wouldn't it be great to see those 2 guys
It
battle?
should be great to see today because of the wind dying down. We should start to see a lot more birdies, and there's where Day and Spieth get going, And some of these other guys, who knows? Dustin Johnson's he's even back. He's right
If he
back.
could putt, that guy would be so.
Right.
He hits the ball so well. I just
So let's be. We're talking about that's where we're at right now. We got Spieth, 1-shot lead over Smiley, and then you got Matsuyama and Langer tied at
1 under.
1 under, or 2 back rather.
right.
Dustin Johnson, Jason Day, Danny Willett, even par. And you got Lee Westward, Brett Snedeker, and how do you spell that guy from?
Soren Sheldson.
Yeah, thank you.
Soren.
From Denmark.
God bless you.
They're +1, so they're 4 shots back. So those are the guys pretty much in the mix right now. But what I want to talk about is what happened on day 1 with Ernie Els. I have never seen anything like that in my life. I've never done that.
Well-
I can tell you what I did this morning, but it wasn't quite like that.
Yeah, that like I said, and he's a class guy, and I really felt horrible for him.
I mean, it's like everything that you say you shouldn't do, as far as he had a 3-foot putt, right? 3-foot putt for a par, and then he 6-putted.
It wasn't
He
going in.
six-putted.
It wasn't going in for him.
3-foot by, 2-foot past, and then he had a little tip in about this much, and he went to tip it in, and that didn't. Work. I was like, oh my God, I felt. Can you imagine how we feel when we're just with a small group of guys when you do that? How low you feel, how bad you feel. The whole world's watching him, and he's one of the best golfers ever.
Oh, he's a
in the
phenomenal.
world,
He's
he's unbelievable.
Well,
I felt bad for him too.
But that's unfortunately that can happen, and you hate to watch it when it does.
And he said he just lost his mind. You just inside
that's
his
what
mind
happens.
was just
Sure.
out of whack.
Well, I'll tell you what.
What are you gonna do?
Another guy that's but he's 6 strokes back. Is a former champion Angel Cabrera. He's 6 strokes back. He had a 9
Yeah.
on one of the. I mean,
I know, to be
just
six-
a par on that par 5, and he'd be under par.
Sure.
But see, I'm looking at Arnie. God bless Arnie. Arnie looks like he's not holding up so well. But that's
he's getting a little
fantastic.
feeble.
Yeah, well,
86
86 years old. I'll tell you what, he's.
Sure. Now, did you happen to see the par 3 contest that was going on?
I didn't get to see any of the highlights,
Did you
but I
hear
heard that
there
there
were 9. Was it 7 or 9? I forget.
Par
7
th-
or 9
holes in one.
Holes in ones.
Now,
Unbelievable. That's that was crazy.
that makes me.
That was a record.
That makes
for
me
sure.
mad. Yeah, and I'll tell you this. I may have shared this story with you. Never had a hole in one. Well, I had a hole in one after I hit my tee shot out of bounds, and I was playing a match play and I
gonna say that.
lost.
And-
After I hit my ball out of bounds, I sunk my 3rd shot, and the guy I'm playing with got a 2 and beat me anyhow. So.
Well, Gary Player was the
Gary
10th,
Player?
the 10th guy.
Oh,
The
my
10th
gosh.
Guy. There were 9 regular tour players, and then Gary Player hit one. He got a hole in one as well on the par 3. So that was really cool to see.
Holy mackerel! Did they have like a bowl thing where it was?
No, the way these greens were set up, they hit it way in the back end of the green, and it
then
just
it rolls
rolls
back.
way down the hill
I like
on
it.
an angle right in the hole.
Well,
Unbelievable.
I'll tell you what. That's going to wrap up the first quarter of Shots from the Bench, and we got a lot more to talk about. A lot of great stuff. NBA, a little more Masters. The baseball season kicked off. We've got all sorts of stuff.
yeah.
So will we be back with the second quarter of Shots from the Bench right after this? Wow, I had no idea. 9, 10. Whoa.
What's
Whoa.
that? What?
That seems almost impossible, that many holes at once.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. It was 9, and Langer was the 10th because he
Whoa.
was a senior tour player. Then he.
And now the second quarter of Shots from the Bench with your hosts, Bob Wiltman and Bob Murphy.
We are back with the second quarter of Shots from the Bench here at Margarita Republic in the beautiful Spanish Spring section of the Villages. Margarita Republic, where the food, fellowship, and fun are always seated first. And partner, while we've gotten the big Masters and the NCAA out of the way, there's some big stuff going on. We're wrapping up the NBA season, getting ready for the playoffs, and there's a lot of drama going on there.
A lot of drama, and these are the last couple of games of the season. We actually the Eastern Conference standings are pretty well set for the playoffs.
Okay.
The Bulls didn't make it.
Bulls,
the Bulls won yesterday, beating the Cleveland Cavs.
I have a feeling the Cavs rested a few guys. That's a guess.
No, they actually played.
Oh, no, they
but
played?
You know what? I think when you get down to it, even though they play not to get hurt. So
Yeah,
they
well,
probably-
yeah, you're right. They
and
want to get exercise.
the Bulls are desperate. The Bulls won, and they finished. Do you know the Bulls finished 7-1 against the top 2 teams in the East? 7-1 against the Cavs and the Raptors, and they still lost.
That tells me
They're out. They're out of the playoffs,
They finished
regardless
pretty
of what they
poorly
do.
against the teams that aren't very good.
It's unbelievable that the Bulls didn't make the playoffs this year. But injuries played a factor, of course.
Oh, sure.
But still, other
absolutely.
teams have had injuries too. And they had Noah and they had Rose out for a while. And,
Absolutely.
And
Two big,
know.
two keys, no big factors.
Paul Gasol's and Jimmy Butler's been carrying them, but they didn't have the depth that they normally have, and defensively either.
Are they going to keep Butler? By the way, I keep reading where he might be on the block. Or they're going to thinking about trade.
Well, it depends which way they're going to go here.
With the
as
draft?
far as the draft,
Yeah.
as far as free agency. They had this nice core together for quite a while, and then Noah really disappointed with not being the same player that he was in the past. That he used him off the bench. He couldn't handle a lot of minutes.
No.
And then Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose seemed to come on some late in the season. He started playing a lot better than he was.
The contract he has, they're going to expect a lot out of him.
But I think he may be gone.
Oh boy.
And so if that team's breaking up, then sure, why not trade Jimmy Butler?
Yeah,
I mean,
I guess you're right. I'm sure
trade him
they.
or build around him. I guess you could build around him too. He's a player. He's young enough to build around. So we'll see.
Let's see what what
what they
happens
have.
with that. But
So
that's too bad. But like I said, every year there's something different. So
Right.
what you gonna do?
Well, last night, of course, the big thing going on this weekend. Besides, we'll get to the standings and who's
Sure.
making the playoffs and who's making the playoff push, whatever. Last night, the Warriors we know are making the push for getting the record that the Bulls
The record,
had.
right?
The best record of all time in the NBA. Which was 72 wins by the 95-96 Bulls.
So that's 72-10 or 72-9.
72-10.
Okay,
That's
72-10.
82 game schedule.
All right.
So right now they've got 71 wins, and they're playing at They're playing at the Spurs tonight.
San Antonio.
San Antonio.
Wow.
Now San Antonio's undefeated at home this year. If they win tonight, they'll go undefeated for the season. Do you think there's a little incentive for San Antonio
Well-
to go undefeated at home and to knock the Spurs out of the potential?
I think they're gonna. I don't think they're gonna rest too many
Really?
guys for
no,
this
I don't
one.
think they're going to rest tonight. Not tonight. So what a great game that is. That's the game of the year right now. I mean, up until this point, right now. Warriors going for tie their Bulls record. They have one more after that. Spurs trying to go undefeated at home
for the whole
first time in their
for the whole
history.
season.
For a whole season.
Wow.
So that's I don't know how much more I can promote that game.
Yeah, well, that sounds like
you
it's.
got to watch it.
And how's the health of the both teams for that one? Is everybody
Fine.
pretty cool? All right. Well,
Everybody's doing great.
that should be a nationally televised game.
Oh,
if
I'm
it's
sure
not,
it
it
is.
should.
Yeah.
Okay, because
Yeah.
that's one you want
Yep.
people to watch. I mean, that's
So,
big stuff.
Okay, so that's where we at with that. So of course, the Eastern Conference. Well, let's finish the Western Conference. The Western Conference. One more thing about the Western Conference. This is Kobe's last couple of games.
Kobe's
Bryant's last couple of
Kobe's
games.
farewell tour. You're
So
right.
if you
yeah.
want to see him, you better get him on NBA.com or watch some of the game, or the NBA channel and watch some of that. Yeah, otherwise, you can watch it on film, I would imagine.
But
But Kobe's finishing up his brilliant career. All right, so the West, you got the Warriors, 71-9, trying to go tie the record tonight. The Spurs in second place, Thunder, the Clippers, the Trailblazers, the Grizzlies, the Mavs, and here's when it's getting a little interesting now. We're down to the last game or two games, and the Rockets are one game back with 2 to play.
are they one game back of
One game
of
back
Utah
of the Utah Jazz.
Oh boy.
And the winner gets to play the Warriors in the first round. Isn't that wonderful?
Well, it's
I mean,
a
that's
lot.
better than
There's a
sitting
lot
home,
of money
right?
for the owner. I mean,
better than sitting home.
It's better than sitting home. Plus, you're going to make some money.
That's right.
I mean, good grief.
So and also there's a couple of things that can happen within the conference, like excuse me,
sure.
the Trailblazers and the Grizzlies. They're a half game separating them between the 5th and 6th spots. Not that that's that big a deal.
But the Grizzlies are pretty banged up, right? I mean, they lost their guy and
they lost
Gasol.
Marc
and
Gasol. But they've been
Yeah.
playing. They're a team that
they still playing well.
playing well. Zach Randolph's
Randolph's a
playing
good
well.
player.
Conley has been out for quite a extent of time as well.
Well, I would have bet they weren't going to make the playoffs after
Right.
after
But
Gasol got hurt.
they've actually made a
And-
push
and
here.
They're actually doing very well.
And last night they gave the Warriors everything they could handle.
Wow.
They almost beat them, and it was 100-99. So, they're doing a wonderful job of hanging together.
Well, that's great. I think
So the
good for them.
Mavs and the Jazz, But the main story in the Western Conference is the Jazz and the Rockets. Who's going to win that final spot? So we'll find out here today or tomorrow what's going on there. All right, in the Eastern Conference-
by the way, who's Utah got? I mean,
Where's my what?
what Utah? I think are they at home for the last one, or are they on the road? Do you know?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't either. I
don't know.
But,
I didn't write that down.
But so if they
I'll
end
get
up
back to you on that
they end up tied. Do we know who gets it if they tie?
No, I don't.
I don't either. Right?
No.
Okay, but that's something to pay attention to.
Yeah, that's something that should be talked about for
Sure,
sure.
absolutely.
Now over in the Eastern Conference, we've got it's pretty well set. With the Bulls losing out, we got the top 8 teams set and the matchup set. So in your first round, which starts next Sunday, NBA players start next Sunday, is the Cavs will be playing the Pacers in Cleveland.
Okay.
Okay.
Pacers. That should be. I think the Cavs
Paul
will be.
George
It
has some
it
experience.
should be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean that could be an interesting
That's
series.
sure.
Like you said.
It could be
'Cause,
6-7 games.
Yep. Because Paul George knows how to play in the playoffs.
He's a talent.
They were there last year. So we'll see. The Raptors are playing the Pistons. Pistons have been in the playoffs for a few years. They're back in and
Good for
playing
them,
good.
too.
So that could be an interesting. All these series could be pretty good in the Eastern Conference anyway. The Cavs and the Pacers, the Raptors and the Pistons. The Hawks are going to be playing the Hornets. I mean, these are
Tell you
really
what, the
tight
Hornets have been
matchups.
playing some good ball.
Yeah. And then you've got the Celtics and the Heat. Again, these are very good matchups. Good games.
I agree
no
with you.
blowouts here.
I agree with it.
It could
They
go
all
any-
sound very,
A lot of
very
these teams could be
6-7 game series.
Yeah.
All of them. It sounds like.
It's a little different in the West. Of
Yeah,
course.
I think you're
When you
right.
get over the West, say the Warriors are going to play either the Rockets or the Jazz, more than likely.
That sounds like a five
So-
gamer.
4 game. Yeah. And then you're going to have the Spurs playing probably the Mavs. Okay.
Another
Again, now,
5 gamer.
I don't see that being a
I think the Mavs
problem for the Spurs.
Mavs are playing their butts off
Yep.
just to get into the playoffs, and
The
they are.
Thunder and the Grizzlies don't see a problem with that either, really. I mean, they'll
Thunder's going to cruise.
hang in there during the games a little bit, but not win too many games. The Clippers and the Trailblazers. Now that's an interesting.
That's an interesting
series.
game. In fact, and I don't get to see them
Right.
ever play each other, so I never know what I would think. And Griffith is back, right?
He's back. Yes, he's not
Okay.
100%
Not
yet.
100%. Okay.
But the Trailblazers with those 2 guards, Lillard and C.J. McCollum, are just playing so well together, and they're just gelling. And they remember a couple months ago they weren't even in the playoff picture, and they moved all the way up to the number 5 spot. So
That's fantastic.
you know,
I mean,
so-
good grief.
there's Jason Day hitting up there on the screen. So another thing we can talk about in the NBA, of course, we're getting excited for the playoffs this week.
Absolutely.
So who's going to be your award winners this year? So obviously, Player of the Year has got to be Steph Curry.
I was going to say, it seems
it's
to
gotta be
me
Steph
like
Curry.
Curry. I don't pay that much attention, but I would think Curry would be
Mm-hmm.
a hands down choice with the year that they've had.
Absolutely.
But you tell me, are there any other choices? I guess LeBron's always
Well,
a
LeBron's always in the
consideration.
mix. Yep. LeBron's always
And
in the mix, so-
Durant, I don't know how, I guess he's had the same type of year he's had the last couple of years. So
Well, there's guys like Kyle Lowry for Toronto.
yeah,
who's
those are the
really
those are the
put a
guys
lot
that I
of-
find DeRozan
they're
and
not
Lowry.
quite there, but
No, but they're darn close. They're exciting to watch.
Yep.
I've gotten to watch
and
them
Russell
the last
Westbrook,
couple of
of course, is also another one right up there at the very top of the leaderboard of NBA. So, Rookie of the Year has to be Karl Anthony Towns, the Minnesota Timberwolves.
I think that
really played well down
that's
the
a
stretch.
hands downer. I think. And
'Cause Okafor slipped a little, and Porzingis been hurt a little bit.
Porzingis, in fact,
Been hurt a little bit.
he's been shut down for a couple of games, right?
couple of games, and he's had some. I think of all the players, he hit the rookie wall more than.
I
some of
agree.
these
I
other
agree with you.
players.
I agree with you. But no, that
You know,
that
but
Minnesota
he's
guy,
got a great future. Absolutely, the kid.
that guy
for the Knicks.
that guy from Minnesota is really,
Oh yeah, he's the real
really
deal.
good.
Absolutely.
Man,
yeah, he was definitely the right pick at number 1 for the NBA.
Well, that's fantastic.
Coach of the year, we have to go with Steve Kerr. I mean, you got to pick the coach of the best team 2 years in a row, right? I mean, I would think.
Steve Kerr sounds like a real good
Right.
choice.
Who would be your number 2, maybe?
I would. I don't know I would think Memphis and San Diego, the Clippers. I'm sorry, Los Angeles.
Oh, Doc Rivers.
Yeah, I mean,
Doc Rivers. Yeah,
of course, he's been
because really he held the team in there when
yeah, that's what I
when,
mean. They both had significant
with
injuries.
all the injuries and everything, and he kept them in the number 4 spot. That's a good, very good pick there.
I'll tell you what. Well, I'll tell you what.
yeah.
We're running out. We can close up on the NBA in the third quarter, but we're going to be shutting things down in the second quarter. Of shots from the bench. We'll be back for the third quarter right after this. I saw the producer
Rory.
trying to give us something. He was giving us finger signs.
Oh yeah. Fingers. He was giving us the finger.
Giving us the finger.
That's the old Jackie Mason on Ed Sullivan when he got kicked off.
Oh yeah. That's right.
Was that just 2 quarters or 1?
And now the third quarter of Shots from the Bench with your hosts, Bob Wiltman and Bob Murphy.
We are back now with the third quarter of Shots from the Bench here in Margarita Republic. And we got another tongue lashing from Greg, our producer. And frankly, I think he's off base. I think a lot of our choices and our opinions don't have a lot to be desired. I think they're about as astute as you can get.
Or as
I don't
bad
know
as
if
you
you
can
feel.
be.
I don't see how it can get any better than that. But I'll tell you what, you want to wrap up real quick? We were talking about the NBA, and then we can do a little baseball.
I think I'm going to become an announcer for women's sports. That's what I think I'm going to. Well, we're going to talk about that now.
We'll talk about that later.
All right. Well, we're going to talk about baseball. Well, this week was we talked a little bit last week about our picks for different divisions.
Absolutely.
And so forth and so on.
Baseball is in full swing. Everybody's
right.
played
It sure
5,
is.
6 games.
Yep.
It's a week going, and a couple major disappointments in terms of injuries, but they're always going to happen. So what are you
That's
going to
right.
do?
That's right. And the thing that happened with the Bulls, the Cubs this week was really alarming.
Horrible. That's
Carl Schwarber.
Schwarber. I can't say
Thank
it
you.
either.
I know. I
Kyle
was having trouble with it.
Schwarber.
But did you see that when they were running out in the outfield? They collided and they
Pretty
tore his
nauseating to
ACL?
see that. He
That was
tore.
horrible. First game of the year.
He's going to have to. I hope he can come back and play
Right.
because that leg took a.
Sure.
That's about as ugly as I've seen.
And so we were talking just a few weeks ago about how the Cubs had re-signed Dexter Fowler as a 4th outfielder.
Smart.
And,
Really?
that's a great idea just in case someone gets hurt. First
Really
game,
smart.
guess what?
And they had the
Well,
cash to do it.
Schwarber's out for the season, and he's the starting center fielder.
And they did okay with him last year, if I
Right.
remember. So he's going to be just fine. They're going
Turned
to be
out
fine.
to be a pretty good move.
Yeah.
You know. So, but we're off to a flying start, a swinging start in the Major League Baseball. So we'll see how that goes.
Let me jump with the Cubs first.
Yeah.
They started out with 2 ridiculously difficult road trips, and so far, the last I looked, they haven't lost. So that
They're 4-1 now.
they did lose?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know the Cubs lost. Okay, it shows you what I know. Well, 4-1 still. When you have to go to L.A. and you have to go to Arizona, I think that that's going to send a message to everybody that maybe they're going to be for real this year.
When we're the Major League season is such an infantile stage. You can have a team, because during the season, all teams have a bad
Oh, my
stretch.
gosh. Oh, yeah.
Have a bad little thing.
That's why I was
if you
teasing
go
about the Twins.
0-3 to start the season, the season's lost.
No,
it's
not lost.
It's not lost. Or you're 2-2, or you're
Could have happened in
whatever.
June.
It doesn't matter.
Could happen in June or July. That's exactly right.
This team's 4-1 and you're 2-2. Oh my God, you're going to lose to them. Relax, take a deep breath.
Yeah.
It's the first week of Major League Baseball. We have a long, long way to go, and teams are going to go on runs at different times of the year. Some teams start off the beginning of the season with a run. Others will start it a little bit later, but that's just the way it is.
What's up? This is
Our
our
producer's
producer.
chiming in.
This is not good, but go ahead.
Never done this before in the history.
Bill James,
Yeah, the stat man. Yeah.
your Major League Baseball goes 0-10.
Well, we're not talking about 0-10. We're talking about 0-3 or something.
We're not
Our
at
producer just said if you go 0-10, your chances are 0.
Although Minnesota
of
has a
going
real good chance
to
of
the
going
playoffs.
10 because they haven't won.
Okay, well, I agree.
And remember a couple
I remember. Well, again, he's making he's good points here. I remember me and my producer here, and our producer here, are Mets fans. Well,
Yeah.
he's a Yankee fan too, but anyway, we won't hold that against him. But we said about 4 or 5 years ago, whenever it was, oh, the Mets, all they got to do is win like 3 out of the next 9 games, or 3 out of the next 10, and they're in. Oh, no problem. Well, then they lose the game. Well, now it's like 3 out of the next 9. Oh, no problem. They lose the next game. Oh, it's 3 out of the next 8. No problem.
I've
Here we
seen-
go. Now, oh my God. And they wound up losing, not getting into the playoffs.
Ask any Philly fan about Gene Mauch in
Oh.
1964 when they decided to go with Jim Bunning and Chris Short every other game because all they had to do
Yeah.
was win one, and they couldn't do it. I'll never forget that. Awful.
And the more you keep getting a loss, the tighter the team becomes. And harder it gets to make that base hit, that harder to make that pitch, as you go farther and farther, and you wind
Horrible.
up just choking,
Oh, there's no question.
So anyway,
All right, sorry for the interruption.
glad
No,
he,
it's okay.
glad he
Thanks-
reminded me
thanks
of that.
Thanks for grinding the show to a halt, Greg. It's a real
No,
pleasure.
Thanks a lot. That was great. Great job.
People are leaving all of a sudden now, and Margarita
my
Republican
God.
droves are leaving, I tell you. No, but actually, we're just talking about. I wanted to just mention the Cubs look
Yeah.
like the real deal. No, they've only played 5 games, but I'll tell you
the
what.
real deal after 5 games.
I watch, yeah, but I will look at that lineup and look at the pitchers. And let's talk about the Mets. In fact, Greg and I off camera. Let's talk about Bartolo Colon pitching so well yesterday, and
Gave up 1 run on a home run to Ryan Howard.
he is the highest paid pitcher on the starting staff of the Mets because none of the other guys are making $1 million.
Yeah, well, they brought him in before they had gotten the other guys
That's
going.
what I mean.
They brought them. Yeah.
I mean, they're not paying any of their big 3 $1 million
Oh,
a year.
big 4.
Syndergaard and Harvey and Wheeler and.
I forgot to ask my producer.
DeGrom.
I forgot to ask the producer. They started the season with Harvey, in Kansas City, and they lost a heartbreaker 4-3. They won the next game with Syndergaard, dominating performance.
Yeah.
The third game, they won another game. I guess that was against the Phillies with DeGrom, again, very dominant
Yeah, they're
performance.
pitching great.
And then, of course, they lost yesterday with Bartolo Colon. Why? And then I understand today they're pitching Harvey again.
Right.
What happened to Matz? I don't know what happened to Matz.
Maybe he's
I know
got a little tightness.
Well, DeGrom is missing a start this coming week because of the birth of his baby. His wife must be with the wife. So plus he has some sort of lat injury. But I don't know where Steven Matz is because he's like one of their top 4 starters.
Well,
So we'll
that's
see.
that's
I
a
don't know
well. I think
I don't know what happened
Cologne, like I said, Cologne's obviously their 5th guy.
You can't. What a great game he pitched, and he lose 1-0 to the.
And when Wheeler comes back, somebody else is going to have to sit down. So
This
I
is
mean,
so early to worry, unless you're going to, like he said earlier, if you go on a losing streak like 10 in a row, if you're like treading water, remember they were 500 at the All-Star break last year.
Yeah.
I'm not going to worry about them when they're 2-2,
No.
after 4 games.
Oh, I agree.
And plus, a lot of times when teams go up north and they went from Kansas City, where it was a little warmer, and then they're in New York, and it's in the 40s. The bats kind of go cold a little bit. The pitching is more of an advantage when you're in cold weather.
Well, you know what? You just brought up something, and we usually
Yeah.
try to save our rants for the 4th quarter, but we're doing baseball. So here's my rant. I cannot figure out why Major League Baseball schedules games. And I think I've said this before. Why in the world would you play games in Chicago, Pittsburgh, and New York in April? Play in the West Coast. Play south. But this 38 degrees. Some star
So-
pitcher's going to ruin his arm. It's just silly. I don't understand it.
Well, I bet you. I hear you. That makes sense as far as the actual players.
Why would you play a game in
But probably
Cleveland
all the people that work
in
at the
April?
concession stands and all the groundskeepers and all the people in the city that want to go can't wait for baseball to come would differ with that opinion. But certainly, I understand what you're saying, though. why don't they have like
Well,
a
they're all
little
rain. You
southern
get
tour?
rainouts. You get rainouts now. Now you get
Yeah.
double headers piling up for crying out loud.
No, that's the way-
Why not just start
Yeah.
the first 12 games at L.A., Arizona, San
Where are they
Diego?
going to play though? You're going to play in the Arizona, in the desert, the stadium. I know what you're saying, but you got no place to play.
Well, why not?
And
I mean-
who's going to come and watch?
But
it?
isn't it better to play in Arizona in April than wait till July when it's 115 degrees? I mean, at least like I said, it just frustrates me because I look up and I
Yeah.
see half the games on the docket opening day are canceled because of bad weather, and I think, well, did they really have to start in Pittsburgh or Cleveland? Couldn't they have gone to, Texas or Florida or someplace? That's
Yeah, well, I think the logistics of that is going to be a little difficult to
Well,
put
you
together.
may be right. I haven't. I'm sure the guy
You
guys say, "Hey, this is the best way for the schedule."
I mean, you could have a good day too. I mean, of course, the thing is, you don't know with the weather; it's uncertain.
Sure.
You could have snow,
Well, you're right. Well, there's no question about it.
but certainly, pitching in that weather is an advantage to the pitcher for sure.
As long as they can
the
get
hitting,
loose,
when you try
they
to
got to
hit
be
it
able to get
cold
loose.
with
Oh,
cold
your
bat.
hitting is awful, but
It's,
still, I mean, a pitcher. I don't know if you go down to spring training and get your pitching
all
at
warmed up.
65, 70 degrees.
Yeah.
Now go out and pitch 6 innings in 28 degrees. I just think it's an accident waiting to happen. That's my opinion.
Well, that's true too. There could be an injury with that, but that's
Yeah.
the way. What
Yeah.
are you going to do? I mean, what's the answer? What's the answer?
Well,
to
the
that?
answer, like I said, from my ass book, and I don't know what I would just say.
Yeah.
Schedule the games in the nicest climate you can to start the season off. That's my
Well, they've always started in April,
yeah.
and the season runs already. People say the season's too long,
Yeah.
and we're playing the World Series in November.
Yeah.
So. I mean, we're starting in the very beginning of April, so I don't know where we're going to go with it if we try.
Well, I
to
think you got to start in
change it.
April, but you just got to start in
Yeah.
warmer climates. I mean,
Right.
there's plenty of warm places to play baseball,
Yeah.
but it seems like they don't schedule them.
Right.
Why you would play April 1st in Cleveland? Pittsburgh, you got lucky; it was 38 degrees. But I mean,
I
why
know. It
why
is
not
pretty
go? Why
cold.
not go play in Florida? Why don't you play in Georgia? Why don't you play?
Do you think there maybe should be a temperature situation that you could cancel a game? Oh, it's got to be 45 or 50 before you start playing?
I'm sure there's a reason that I don't know it. I can't figure out.
You got to
on
come
my-
up with it now, because you're
No,
the one that brought it up.
I'm not doing it. I'm upset, and that's right. Yeah, interleague play, that's right.
That's it, interleague play.
But like I said, I'm sorry I didn't mean to interrupt the rant because we had a good thing going with the baseball. And how we doing time-wise? We're okay. So I'll tell you what, we are ready to wrap up the third quarter, and we're going to get back with more rants and actually more in-depth discussion of Major League Baseball and a few other things. And we'll be back with the fourth quarter shots from the bench right after this.
Yeah, I don't know what the answer to that is.
I didn't want to interject again, but
Sure you do.
I texted you the other day. The Marlins and the Nationals were not scheduled to play on a Friday, this past Friday.
Why?
It's not on the schedule.
How can that be?
Right.
How could it be?
I don't pretend to.
And now the fourth quarter of Shots from the Bench with your hosts, Bob Wiltman and Bob Murphy.
We are back with the fourth quarter here, shots from the bench here from Margarita Republic in the beautiful Spanish Spring section of the Villages. And my producer, Greg, passed on an interesting tidbit, and I think it's something that we should discuss briefly, but it's got to be brought to light because last week we were talking about the Detroit Red Wings having a 24-year streak of making the playoffs, which is Pittsburgh is second with 10 years in a row, and Detroit's first with 25, and they made it again. And hats off to the Red Wings. I know they were leaking a little oil coming down the stretch, but they won a couple big games at the end, and they are in. So that is 25 years in a row making the playoffs. Pretty impressive.
Yeah, we thought they were going to be, finally not make it. After
No,
all
I
these
thought
years, but
I thought
held
they
in
were,
there.
and unfortunately,
Streaks alive.
the Bruins had a chance, and they just their goalie got sick, and they just laid an egg in the final game at home, and so
Yep.
Detroit is in.
Sure.
But we were talking about it. We have a couple things we want to talk about, but one of the things that I know you had mentioned, and we had talked about it off camera, was a little bugaboo about the broadcasting.
Okay, this is a tough one because
It is a tough one, and
it's
you-
a tough one. It has to do with has to do with women broadcasters.
Okay.
Very qualified. For
Sure.
some reason, I'm watching. Okay, I started thinking about this when I was watching the opening day game between the Mets and Kansas City,
Okay.
and they had in the booth their head broadcasting team was a woman.
Okay.
I'm sure she's very capable. I'm sure she sounded very smart and very capable. But as I was thinking, something was bothering me about it. It wasn't her personality. It wasn't her skill. It wasn't her whatever. But what it was the fact that I'm watching a man's game, professional baseball, and it's not credible to me because she's never played professional baseball and been that color commentator to do that. And yet, so every time she'd speak, I kept thinking, okay, well, what does she really know about men? You know, I mean, compared to whoever's job she's taking that normally is in there. You know, so what do you think about that?
Well, I understand the thought behind it. I agree with you in the sense that I think I would get a lot more out of it if they got some. But I think what they're trying to do is reach as many audiences as they can to attract those different audiences watching the game.
No,
but let me finish because
Yeah,
I
yeah,
want to tell
sure.
because it's interesting you brought that up because I watched the Connecticut Women's Championship game.
Right.
And the announcers were all women, and I thought that makes all the sense
It makes
in the
all
world
sense,
to
and
me.
it's very credible.
Yeah,
There's a credibility that comes with
I
it.
don't want to hear somebody who didn't
Right.
play in the women's basketball tournament or
Right.
didn't play women's basketball talk about it. And
Right.
I think, and the converse should be true also. But I don't think. I think because we are a quote unquote politically correct society, I think that you're going to get what you get. You know.
It's men's sports and there's women's sports.
Yeah.
I understand. And another thing that bothers me too is that they were saying that Gino Ariema of UConn is tied John Wooden. He didn't tie John Wooden.
I think they're talking
In major champion in
Yeah.
NCAA championships, yes.
Yeah.
In a sense, he did, but he didn't break. John Wooden's is a male record, and he's a female record.
Yeah, well, I know.
There's no tying going on there. He's the best in the women's side, and he's the best on the male side. Overall, I guess if you want to look at it that way, but one of them is male championships and one is female
Well,
championships.
there's
So
such a- there's
I
such
see
a-
that there's a big difference in that
there's
kind of
such a
thing.
push
You
now-
can't beat John Wooden's record; it's still never been broken.
There's such a push, and the push has been going on
Yeah.
for a long time.
Right.
And I understand.
Now-
I understand what they're
Sure.
trying to accomplish, but I think it's.
Now,
I think it's going to.
there are cases where I like women broadcasting for men, like for tennis. I think it's
Well-
great when Chrissy Everett is out there talking about Roger Federer or Joachim Djokovic, whatever, or
Novak
Novak Djokovic.
Djokovic, yeah.
You know, and her insight is credible. She's played professional tennis, or even the girl that's doing in the Masters, former. I forget her name right now.
Dottie Pepper.
Dottie Pepper.
Yeah, she was
She's
a
excellent.
champion golfer.
Okay,
She's
but when
excellent.
you get to football and baseball, team sports, you know, it just doesn't hit you as a guy. I'm just looking at purely as a guy watching sports, and I don't feel a credibility. I don't care what she knows about it. She's not a guy.
Well, I know, but it's all, as I was
that's how
saying.
it feels to
But
me.
it's all about trying to draw audience.
I think it's a quota thing. I really do. I think it's a politically
Well-
correct quota thing because there's a million guys that would be more qualified
Maybe
or
the
as qualified as her, but they want to have a woman in there.
But
so whatever.
I think they would say
But as
the
a
reason for
sports
it.
fan, I'm looking at it,
Oh,
not feeling.
I agree with you, But
Like, this is credible.
But I understand that
It seems to lose something.
they think
it seems
they're-
to lose something
they think they're getting
in the broadcast.
different audiences involved in
Yeah.
watching the sport. But I agree with you that it makes it hits me a lot cleaner when I know that the person I'm watching has some experience either playing
Yeah.
or and I
Like, do you have a woman's softball player, famous softball player, doing play-by-play in Major League or color commentary on Major League Baseball?
there may be one, but I hope
No,
not.
but-
But no, what you're saying is
Yeah.
true because I said that to
Now-
Greg off camera. I said, look, she may be very knowledgeable, but I just don't. I know she didn't
Yeah.
play NBA basketball.
Some cases,
So-
it's okay. Like, it doesn't bother me. At first it did, but it doesn't bother me to see the assistant coach for the Spurs. She's very knowledgeable, has had a few years in now as an
Yeah.
assistant under Popovich.
Sure.
She's gained experience around NBA players and worked with them. You know what? I wouldn't be upset if she
No,
became an
no,
NBA
that's right.
coach.
That
But
would make
certain
sense.
situations, when I'm watching and listening as a fan, it seems to be not hitting on all cylinders. for
No,
me.
you're right. Like I said, it's just. But I think that
Yeah.
the days we're going to see that, and I don't think it's ever going to go back. I think you're
Right.
going to see.
No, I think
more
you're
and
right.
more of it.
I think
so
there's going to be more of it.
get ready to
But this
get
is
ready
the-
for
my
it.
initial reaction.
All right. And
We were
next-
going to talk a little bit about, NFL.
Oh, absolutely. Got the
Colin
draft.
Kaepernick was talked about a couple of weeks ago going to Denver after Mark Sanchez wound up there
Yeah.
as a backup, or who knows what they're going to use him for. And now they're slowing that down a little bit. Now they're bringing in Johnny Manziel to come into Denver and to check. And we're going, what? Are you kidding me? Well, they are. They're bringing
Johnny Manziel is so marketable right now. Holy
mean,
mackerel!
I mean, what does that say about Colin Kaepernick? if you're going to bring him in.
Johnny Manziel, Colin Kaepernick. Denver might be the only team to win the Super Bowl and actually have nobody.
Oh, now they're saying, well, maybe we shouldn't. Maybe we should just get Peyton back here and force him back in.
It's
He's
you
better
know
than
what?
these other two
Don't
guys.
be surprised if they don't try to do something like that.
That's right.
And you know who I blame for this whole big mess, and I'm not tongue in cheek, but is the Houston Texans ownership. Anybody that's going to pay Osweiler $18 million, which is top quarterback dollars.
He would have
and he's
been the
played 6
perfect-
games. He would have been perfect. to
Carry
step
the
into-
torch for
Yeah.
the Denver Bronco
Not at
franchise.
that price. Not at
He
$18
was
million.
the one that was going to carry the torch between, just
Absolutely
like
crazy.
Aaron Rodgers did for Brett Favre.
Absolutely.
You know, carry the torch. Now they got nobody. Now they're bringing in all these has-been quarterbacks.
Why would you throw
Oh.
$18 million at a guy who started 6 pro games? It doesn't make any sense.
Oh my
but
God. And
I
then
guess
now you got Ryan Fitzpatrick sitting out there, who is a very decent quarterback. And why isn't he being brought in to Denver and give him what he wants? You need to get back into the playoffs again. You don't want to just drop off the face of the earth.
Well, he's
as soon
probably
as you
saying
win.
if Brock Osweiler is worth $18 million, I should be worth $25 million.
Absolutely. And now the Jets, he'll probably wind up back with the Jets.
I would think that's the only place.
Fitzpatrick.
That's all that's left.
But this
see
is
what
a
else he
real
can do.
circus going on with Denver. Denver shouldn't just give up on. If he's not going to get, they should have got Fitzpatrick. That to me, I don't care. You want to negotiate with him, but you should get Fitzpatrick. Do what you got to do to get him. That's your best option. But whether or not they do it, who knows?
Well, it's just that I have real trouble understanding why Colin Kaepernick and Johnny Manziel are still hot commodity marketable items in the NFL. I would think they would be on their knees begging people to give them a shot.
Johnny Manziel is more than just a quarterback. He's got problems. He's got some
He's
personal.
got
personal
major
problems.
personal
needs
problems.
to be addressed. How can you take on a guy like that?
No question.
Who has, who's been in and out of rehab, who's been, we know the story.
Well, you're
We
right.
know all those stories.
No,
all
you're
that.
exactly
Just going
right.
over it all.
You're exactly right.
So that's ridiculous. But whatever. We'll just all we can do is comment on it and watch, see what happens.
And this is all leading up to the draft day, which is what, 28th?
April 28th, we got the NFL draft. Can't wait.
And they're still doing it now. If you came in, they still pocket it like, right, you have to flip a coin or they do a lottery to see who gets the first pick?
No,
Or
there's no lottery in the
If you have
NFL.
the worst schedule or the worst
Yeah,
record,
you're the worst record.
you get the
yeah,
first pick.
Right. It's not like
Okay.
the NBA where they have the lottery.
So who's number one then?
Jeez.
Tennessee? Well, Cleveland. Does Cleveland have the first pick? Greg, you know everything.
I think they're 1 or 2, yes.
How do you like
Cleveland's
that?
1 or 2.
I asked our producer off camera just for a little assistance
let you
once.
know here in
He
a
doesn't
sec.
know. He doesn't know. That's okay. It's all right, Greg. Thanks for all the help. All right. The bottom line is Cleveland's going to probably get the second pick, and I'm assuming it would be Jacksonville. Probably Jacksonville.
So who's your favorite team again?
My favorite team is the Steelers, and
And what are their needs this year?
their needs are to quit choking.
They don't need wide receivers. I can
They
tell
don't
you
need
that
wide
much.
receivers.
They don't need a
but,
quarterback.
What
What do they need?
They need somebody that can rush a passer.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's anybody out
I'll
there.
tell you what. I'll trade. My Vikings will trade him. No.
I'll tell you what. I think they need Colin Kaepernick.
I'll tell you. Okay, I can maybe tell you what the Vikings need.
What do the Vikings
okay?
need?
Okay, the last couple of years with Mike Zimmer brought in who is the head coach now for a couple of years.
Yeah.
He was a defensive coach. He's taken that defense from 24th in the league
They're fine.
to like 11th last year or the year before, and now they're like 5th or 6th this past year. And they're coming in with even more players in free agency that they added to the mix. So defensively, they really don't need to add anybody. They also added some offensive linemen to protect Teddy Bridgewater. Okay, so that's really going to help.
wanna
And they
keep-
got some guys coming back off of injury. So now they have depth on the offensive line, and they have good players, a lot more depth to protect him. And they have Adrian Peterson, and they got another guy that's really good running back as well. They need wideouts. That's what the mock drafts have them picking. It's either Dotson from TCU. All right, the wide receiver. Remember TCU was putting up all those big
Sure.
numbers all year long. Remember they were one of those teams that were going in the 50s and 60s.
Absolutely. They
Well,
scored 60
Dotson was
points.
one of the reasons. He's one of the best wideouts. They're going to pick number 23, and that's who they need to get. A guy that can stretch the field and they can throw to down the kind of guy that can go up and get the ball and take it away.
I agree
from
with
the
that.
defender.
They need a
That's
playmaker.
what- a
Remember, because
playmaker.
they were a hooked field goal from
They were just
being in the
missed-
championship
they should've-
game. So
they should have been playing
Yeah.
that game up at Carolina against
That's right.
Carolina.
That's right.
That's right. They were 11-5, and they're looking improved over the 11-5 team on paper right now. So we'll see what the draft brings.
All
But
right.
a lot of teams like the Vikings have improved with the draft the last couple of years. They really drafted well in the first, second, and third round.
That's what it takes.
All starters.
That's what it takes,
You
man.
know.
You got to do it.
So-
How we doing? Time-wise, we're out of here. So sorry you've gotten nothing but great insights from us. Not much help from Greg off camera, I've got to admit. But folks, thank you so much for spending Sunday afternoon with us. For Bob Murphy, I'm Bob Wiltman, and for Greg Malinchuk, Bob Wiltman, and we'll be back next week at Margarita Republic with another session of Shots from the Bench. So long. Thank you. These guys look like trivia buffs. Let's get some trivia questions on. Who's the only?
Vikings.
How about the Vikings? Protect Teddy Bridgewater. Quit hooking field goals.
Vikings.
Blame the field goal holder. That's what I would-
Bridgewater in the shotgun. Hands off to Peterson. No, it's a fake.
I think it's time to bring back Joe Cap.
He's got Kyle Rudolph in the flat.
Joe,
Touchdown.
Joe Cap, always very mobile in the pocket.
Joe Cap.
Joe Cap
Remember during
started
their-
the wave of Canadian Football
Their
League
playoff
players.
game this year, they had Bud Grant. He walks out with it's like 10 degrees out. He walks out with a polo shirt on, like he's 86, 87 years old.
Bud-
Whatever.
Bud
Walks out
Grant.
with a little polo shirt on. Did you see that? That was amazing. Trying to inspire the team, I guess.
Well, let's see what team. We'll know next week if the Twins are going to go winless. Well, we'll see. see who's pulling this off. All I know is a longer bogey the first hole, so there it goes. I knew that was going to happen. I was looking forward to him turning it around. He just didn't get it done.
It was 3-0 Phillies, and Cespedes hit a 2-run home run.
Woo!
It was 3-0 Phillies?
And
Off
Cespedes,
of Harvey?
Cespedes rocks it too.
Well, I saw when you were talking, they're in their throwback '86 uniforms today.
Are they?
I saw it up there, and the guy from the Mets had a double off. the
Throwback to what? 1886?
86 throwback uniforms they're wearing.
Oh, you mean from 1986?
Yeah, they're
Oh.
wearing those uniforms.
Oh, okay.
Huh?
I think that was David Wright.
Oh.
No, see, how's his health? How's he doing? Is he okay? Is he back to basics?
He can't. They have to really watch him. Like normally, you take I don't know how many rips at batting practice. 100,
Yeah.
100 batting. He has to do. He can only do half.
He's
or a
been
third.
so fragile the last couple of years. How did Tony Romo sneak into that commercial? I guess he and Spieth are friends, huh?
Guys. Say what?
I got Tony Romo in the
Take
joint.
care, gentlemen.
Hey,
Take
thank
care.
you. You take
Okay,
care.
bye-bye.
Thanks so much.
We'll talk, and good luck with.
We want you to get Babe Ruth's great granddaughter to come and be our guest. Babe Ruth. Get Babe Ruth's great granddaughter.
See what I can do. How about Joe Torre's sister?
Not twin sister, I hope.
She's a nun.
Say what?
A nun.